We're cutting you loose, old-timer. Your company card is canceled. Figure out how to get home yourself. I read Mason's text message 3 times, standing in that hotel lobby in Monterey. The marble floor under my boots felt more solid than anything else in my life at that moment. My boss's words glowed on the phone screen. Each word was a punch to the gut. I didn't curse. I didn't throw my phone. I just stood there while people walked past me speaking Spanish and rolling their luggage, living their normal lives while mine was ending. My name is Bryce Thompson. I'm 49 years old. I served 8 years in the Navy before starting my civilian career. I've got a 17-year-old son named Hunter who's a senior in high school, already talking about college applications and wrestling scholarships. His mother Sarah died 3 years ago from cancer. So it's just been us, me and Hunter, figuring things out together ever since. I typed back slowly, carefully. Understood. Thank you for letting me know. Then, I sat down on a leather chair near the entrance and tried to remember how to breathe properly. Let me go back and tell you how I ended up here, thousands of miles from home, holding $40 in my wallet and a text message that basically said 25 years of loyal service meant nothing. I started working at Consolidated Manufacturing right after I got out of the Navy in 1999. They made automotive components, steel brackets, aluminum housings, precision machined parts that go into every car and truck on American roads. I wasn't an engineer or anything fancy. I was a procurement specialist. That meant I found suppliers who could provide the materials we needed at the right price and quality. Steel, aluminum, specialized alloys, whatever our engineers specified. The job paid well enough to buy a house in a decent neighborhood with good schools. Good enough that Sarah could stay home with Hunter when he was little, at least until he started school. Not rich, but solidly middle class. The American dream, you know? And I was good at it. Really good. I could talk to suppliers in different countries and make them understand exactly what we needed. I learned some Spanish, picked up basic Portuguese. I asked about their families. I remembered their kids' names and birthdays. That's how you build trust in this business. You treat people like human beings, not just invoice numbers. My boss for the last 2 years was a guy named Mason Clark. 39 years old, fresh MBA from some fancy East Coast school. Always checking his phone during meetings, always talking about optimization and efficiency metrics and streamlining legacy processes. He got fast-tracked to Division VP because his uncle sat on the board of directors. I don't think he ever spent a day on a factory floor in his life. Mason liked to remind me that the world was changing. Your old school methods don't scale, Bryce, he'd say when I talked about relationship building with suppliers. We need data-driven solutions and automated procurement platforms. I'd nod and say, yes, sir, because I needed that job. Hunter was thinking about college, and those application fees and campus visits weren't cheap. Plus, I was the only parent he had left. So I swallowed everything. Every condescending comment about legacy employees. Every joke about how guys like me were becoming dinosaurs in the modern business world. Every lecture about how the company needed fresh thinking instead of outdated approaches. What choice did I have? I was 49 with a mortgage, a teenage son, and 25 years invested in a company that I thought valued loyalty. 3 months ago, Mason called me into his office. It was one of those glass-walled conference rooms where everyone could see you getting chewed out. We have a problem, he said, not looking up from his laptop. Our steel supplier in Mexico, Logi Steel Industries, they're threatening to walk away from our contract. What's the issue? I asked, pulling out my notepad. Old habit from the Navy. Always be ready to take notes. How should I know? That's your department. You're supposed to manage these vendor relationships. He said it like I was a customer service rep, not someone who'd been negotiating multi-million-dollar contracts for over 2 decades. I'll reach out to them, I said. Get to the bottom of this. You do that. This contract is worth $8 million. If we lose Logisteel, our entire automotive division is in trouble. I contacted Logan Martinez that afternoon. He ran Logisteel Industries, a family business outside Monterey that his father had started back in the 1970s. Logan was 60 years old, built like he'd worked with his hands his whole life, which he had. His steel was the best quality I'd ever seen. Precise tolerances, consistent composition, reliable delivery. We'd been working together for 8 years, ever since I took over the Mexican supplier accounts. Logan was frustrated when we talked over video call. Your company treats us like we are machines, Bryce, he told me, his weathered face serious on my computer screen. Last quarter, they wanted to cut our prices by 15%. This quarter, they want delivery times cut in half. They never ask if this is possible. They never ask what we need. They just demand, like we are servants. I understand, Logan. Let me see what I can work out on our end. I hope so, my friend, because we have other options. Apex Industries has been calling us for 2 years, offering better terms. We stayed loyal to Consolidated because of our relationship with you. But loyalty must go both ways. I spent the next 2 weeks putting together a comprehensive proposal that made sense for both sides. Better payment terms that respected Logisteel's cash flow needs. Realistic delivery schedules that didn't require them to work their people to death. A guarantee of consistent order volumes so Logan could plan ahead and invest in equipment upgrades. Things that acknowledged we were dealing with real people running a real business, not just numbers on a spreadsheet. Mason barely glanced at my 15-page proposal when I presented it. "Just go there," he said, waving his hand dismissively. "Fly down to Mexico and fix this face-to-face. Make them happy. That's what we pay you for." "When?" I asked. "Next week. You'll be there however long it takes. A few weeks, maybe a month, whatever it takes to save this contract." My heart sank. That's a long time to be away from home. Hunter's got his senior year wrestling season starting, and he's waiting to hear back from colleges. "Doesn't your sister-in-law help out?" "Figure it out, Bryce. This is a critical contract. Our entire automotive division depends on it." Hunter wasn't happy about me leaving for Mexico. "Dad, you're going to miss my match against Central High," he said the night before I flew out. He was sitting on the couch, still in his wrestling practice gear, looking tired but determined. "Coach says college scouts might be there." I sat down next to him, feeling the weight of being the only parent he had left. "I know, son. I'm sorry, but this deal is worth $8 million to the company. If I can fix this relationship with Logisteel, it secures our future, your college fund, everything." "I get it," he said, but I could hear the disappointment in his voice. "It's just, Mom never missed the important stuff." That hit harder than any of Mason's insults ever could. Sarah had been the one who drove Hunter to every practice, every tournament, every parent-teacher conference when I was traveling for work. She'd been the constant while I was building my career. "I'll make it up to you, I promise," I said, "and I'll be back before your 18th birthday next month." I didn't keep that promise. I arrived in Monterey on a Tuesday morning in late September. The city was hot and dusty, completely different from the Midwest manufacturing towns I was used to. The air smelled like exhaust and street food and possibility. I took a taxi to the hotel Mason's assistant had booked. A decent business hotel, nothing fancy but clean and professional. I met Logan at his facility the next day. Logisteel wasn't in the city center. I had to rent a car and drive about an hour southeast to reach it, through neighborhoods that gradually shifted from urban to industrial to something that felt more like rural Mexico. The building was older but well-maintained, with Logisteel Industries, established 1973, painted in faded letters on the side. Inside, workers were cutting and shaping steel with precision equipment that looked like it had been maintained with military attention to detail. The smell was sharp and metallic, familiar from my Navy days working on ship repairs in dry dock. Everything was clean, organized, purposeful. Logan Martinez was exactly like I'd pictured him during our video calls. Gray hair, strong handshake, the kind of direct way of speaking that comes from decades of honest work. He wore steel-toed boots and had calluses on his hands that told you he still worked alongside his employees when needed. "Welcome to Mexico, my friend," he said, leading me through the facility. "Come, let me show you what we do here." His wife Casey managed the administrative side of the business. She was maybe 55, with kind eyes and the sort of practical efficiency that keeps family businesses running. She brought me coffee and homemade pastries while Logan and I talked in his office, which overlooked the main production floor. "Tell me what you need from us," Logan said, settling into his chair. "But first, tell me what we need from you." It was the first time in months anyone had asked me that question. What did we need from each other? "I need you to keep working with Consolidated," I said honestly. "But more than that, I need to understand what's not working for you. What's making you want to walk away from 8 years of partnership?" We talked for hours that first day, not just about prices and delivery schedules, but about respect. That word kept coming up. Respect. "Your boss," Logan said carefully, choosing his words like a man who'd learned diplomatic language the hard way. "He talks to us in emails like, we are nothing. Like our 50 years of combined experience means nothing. Like we should be grateful for whatever terms he decides to offer." I know, I said quietly. He talks to me the same way. Casey looked at me with something like sympathy. Then why do you stay? Because I have a son to provide for, I said. College applications, wrestling camps, all of it costs money, and I'm the only parent he has left. She nodded slowly. She understood what it meant to be responsible for family. Let me ask you something, Logan said. In the Navy, when you made a commitment to someone, what did that mean? It meant your word was your bond, I said automatically. Honor, commitment, loyalty. You stood by your people, and they stood by you. Exactly. That's how business should work too. But your company, they change terms whenever they want. They demand faster delivery, but won't pay for the equipment upgrades that would make it possible. They want lower prices but higher quality. It's not sustainable. Over the next 3 weeks, I built something real with Logan and his family. Not just a business relationship, but a genuine partnership built on mutual respect. We negotiated terms that worked for everyone. I explained what Consolidated's engineers actually needed. Not what Mason claimed they needed, but what the technical specifications really required. Logan explained what his operation could realistically deliver without cutting corners or burning out his workforce. We found middle ground that honored both sides. Better payment terms that respected Logisteel's cash flow. Realistic delivery schedules that didn't require 16-hour days. A commitment to consistent order volumes so Logan could plan investments and keep his people employed year-round. Then Logan started insisting on something unusual. I want you to be our single point of contact, he said, during our second week of negotiations. Not your boss, not anyone else, you. I'm not the decision maker, I said. I'm just the procurement specialist. Then we make you the decision maker for this relationship, Logan said firmly. Every contract modification goes through you. Every change must be approved by you personally. Otherwise, we don't work with Consolidated anymore. I didn't understand why at the time. I thought maybe he just preferred working with me over Mason's abrasive style. Later, I realized he saw something I didn't see yet. He saw that Mason was taking credit for my work, dismissing my expertise, and treating me like a disposable asset. Logan wanted to protect what we were building together by making it impossible for Consolidated to cut me out of the equation. Back home, Mason would message me at all hours. Where are we with the contract? When is it signed? What's taking so long? The board is asking questions. I'd explain that building trust takes time, that rushing would damage everything we'd worked to repair. He'd respond with messages like, I don't need excuses, I need results. We're paying for your vacation down there. Vacation. Like I wasn't working 12-hour days trying to save his division. Once, Mason insisted on joining one of my video calls with Logan. It was a complete disaster. Mason interrupted constantly, made jokes that didn't translate and weren't funny to begin with, and treated Logan like he was stupid for not speaking perfect English. He kept checking his phone during the call and asking when we could wrap this up. After Mason left the call, Logan was quiet for a long moment. Then he said to me, "That man has no respect for anyone but himself." "I'm sorry," I said. "He's under pressure from the board." "Don't apologize for him," Logan said firmly. "You are not him. You understand business. You understand people. He understands only numbers on a screen." Hunter's 18th birthday happened during my 4th week in Mexico. I'd promised to be home for it, but we were so close to finalizing everything that I couldn't leave. I sent him a new wrestling gear bag and a card, made a video call to wish him happy birthday, but I could see the disappointment in his face even through the grainy hotel internet connection. My sister-in-law Harper told me later that he just nodded when he opened the gifts, said thanks, but spent the rest of his birthday evening in his room. "He just wants his dad home, Bryce," she said during our private call. "These last 3 years since Sarah died, you're all he's got. He understands you have to work, but he misses you." "I know," I said, feeling like I was failing at the most important job I'd ever had. "Just a few more days. We're almost done here." Finally, after 5 weeks in Mexico, we had everything ready. A complete agreement that would bring Consolidated $8 million worth of high-grade steel over 2 years. Enough material to fulfill their major automotive contracts with Ford, GM, and Chrysler, plus have capacity for the new electric vehicle components they were developing. Logan's business would benefit with steady work and fair prices. Consolidated would benefit with reliable supply and quality that exceeded industry standards. Everyone would win. The contract language was bulletproof. I'd spent hours going over every clause with both Logan and Casey, making sure we understood exactly what we were committing to. The key provision was buried in Section 12, subsection C. All contract modifications, delivery schedule changes, and pricing adjustments must be approved in writing by Bryce Thompson, designated as primary relationship manager for this partnership. No other consolidated manufacturing employee is authorized to alter the terms of this agreement. Logan had insisted on that language, and now I understood why. He was protecting both of us from exactly the kind of corporate interference that had nearly destroyed this relationship in the first place. The signing was scheduled for a Thursday morning. Logan wanted to do it properly, with his whole family present, his 2 sons who worked in the business, Casey, even his elderly father who'd started the company. He treated it like it meant something important, which it did. This wasn't just a contract. It was a partnership built on mutual respect and shared values. I was proud of what I'd built. Genuinely proud. For the first time in months, I felt like I'd accomplished something that mattered. Something bigger than just surviving Mason's constant criticism and corporate politics. That Wednesday evening, I was in the hotel lobby going over the final contract details one more time when my phone buzzed. I expected it to be Hunter, maybe calling to tell me about his latest wrestling practice or college interview. Instead, it was a text message from Mason. "We're cutting you loose, old-timer. Your company card is canceled. Figure out how to get home yourself." I stopped breathing. I read it again, then again. No explanation, no warning, no phone call, just those words. I checked my company credit card on my phone's banking app. He wasn't lying. The account showed suspended, contact issuer. I had $40 in cash in my wallet. My return flight was booked through the company's travel system. I didn't know if that was canceled too, but I wasn't about to find out at the airport. I was stranded in a foreign country, after 5 weeks of work, after missing my son's 18th birthday, after eating cheap street food to save the company money, after taking buses instead of taxis and staying in a budget hotel instead of the nicer place Logan had offered, after doing everything Mason had asked and more. And he called me an old-timer. My fingers moved automatically, typing what my Navy training had taught me to type in crisis situations. Acknowledge, confirm, move forward. Understood. Thank you for letting me know. I didn't know what else to say. My mind went completely blank. I sat on that lobby chair for maybe an hour, maybe more. People walked past. Business travelers, families on vacation, young couples speaking Spanish and laughing about something. Normal people living normal lives while mine fell apart. Hotel staff glanced at me occasionally but didn't say anything. I probably looked like any other businessman having a bad day. I kept thinking about Hunter. How would I get home to him? How would I explain that his father had been thrown away like garbage after 25 years of loyal service? Would I have to ask Harper to wire me money for a ticket? The humiliation of that felt almost as devastating as the text message itself. Then something shifted inside me. Not anger exactly, something colder and more focused. Something that felt like the moment in Navy training when you realize the only way out of a crisis is straight through it. I looked at my briefcase. Inside was the unsigned contract, the one worth $8 million, the one that would save Mason's entire division, the one Logan refused to sign with anyone except me, a detail that was about to become very important. I stood up. I walked out of that hotel lobby. I found my rental car in the parking garage and drove back to Logisteel one last time. It was dark by the time I reached the facility. The main building was mostly empty, but I could see lights on in the administrative offices. Logan and Casey were still there, finishing up paperwork for the next day's signing ceremony. They looked surprised when I walked in. "Bryce," Logan said, rising from his desk. "Is everything all right? You look upset." "They fired me," I said. The words came out flat, matter of fact. "My boss sent a text message this evening. Said they're cutting me loose. He canceled my company credit card, told me to find my own way home." Casey's hand went to her mouth. Logan's face went hard in a way I'd never seen before. "After everything," he said quietly. "After 5 weeks. After you worked so hard to build something good." "Yes. How much money do you have?" Casey asked, her voice gentle but practical. $40 cash. "That's it. Where will you stay tonight? The hotel. I have enough for maybe one more night. Then I'll figure something out. Logan exchanged one of those looks with his wife that married couples use to have entire conversations without speaking. Then he turned back to me. The signing tomorrow, he said. What do you want to do about it? That was when I realized something crucial. Logan wasn't asking whether the signing would happen. He was asking what I wanted to happen. He was giving me a choice. What do you mean? I asked. This contract, he said, gesturing to the papers on his desk. It's written with your name as the primary contact and approval authority. Consolidated must deal with you personally to get our steel. That language was very specific, very intentional. The weight of what he was saying hit me slowly. The contract wasn't just about me being a liaison. It was legally binding language that made me the required point of contact for the entire partnership. Without me, there was no deal. But I don't work there anymore, I said. Exactly, Logan said, and for the first time that evening he smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was something sharper, more purposeful. So why would I sign with them? They'll send someone else, I said automatically. They'll try to renegotiate. Let them try, Logan said. I won't work with them. My family won't work with them. We built this relationship with you, not with that man who treats people like they're disposable. But what about other companies? Don't you have other options? Apex Industries has been calling us for 2 years, Casey said quietly. Offering better terms, better prices, more respect. We always said no because we had loyalty to Consolidated, but now we see what Consolidated's loyalty is worth. You'd really walk away from $8 million? I asked. The money isn't walking away, Logan said firmly. It's just walking to someone who deserves it. Someone who treats people the right way. I felt something loosening in my chest. Something that had been wound tight for so long I'd forgotten what it felt like to breathe normally. There's something else, Logan continued. Apex Industries asked us last month if we knew anyone who could manage their international procurement operations. Someone who understands materials, suppliers, relationships, someone with proven experience. He paused and looked directly at me. I have someone in mind now. He meant me. I can't, I said automatically. I need to get home. I need to find another job. I need stable work. Hunter's looking at colleges, and I can't take risks right now. You need to stop letting people treat you like you're worthless, Logan said firmly. This man throws you away like garbage after you built something valuable for his company. And you want to rush home and find another person who will do the same thing to you? I have responsibilities, I said. A mortgage, college tuition coming up. I can't afford to take chances. This isn't a chance, Casey said gently. This is you taking what you've earned. You built this relationship. You did the work. You created the value. Why should they benefit from it when they don't respect you? I looked at the unsigned contract in my hands. 5 weeks of my life. Hunter's 18th birthday. All those conversations, all those negotiations, all that trust I'd built with Logan's family, and Mason had called me an old-timer and left me stranded. What would I need to do? I asked quietly. Logan's expression softened. Tonight, nothing. Stay here. We have a guest room upstairs. Tomorrow morning I'll call Apex Industries. I'll tell them Consolidated is no longer an option. Then I'll call your old boss and tell him there will be no signing. He'll be furious. Good, Logan said simply. Let him be furious. I stayed in their guest room that night. It was simple and comfortable, with a bed that felt like luxury after weeks in a business hotel. Casey brought me dinner, real Mexican food, not the tourist stuff I'd been eating, and sat with me while I tried to process what was happening. My father used to say something, she told me. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Your boss showed you who he is today. Don't give him a second chance to prove it. I thought about that all night, about all the times Mason had shown me exactly who he was, the dismissive comments, the credit-taking, the constant reminders that I was expendable, and how I'd ignored it all because I was scared, because I thought I didn't have choices, because I believed loyalty would eventually be rewarded. The next morning, Logan made his calls. First, he called Apex Industries. I could only hear his side of the conversation, but it was clear they were very interested. Yes, this is Logan Martinez from Logisteel Industries. We spoke last month about a partnership. Yes, that's still something we want to pursue. Good, I have someone you should meet immediately. He's the best procurement manager I've ever worked with. He's the reason Consolidated wanted to work with us in the first place. Now he's available. Then he called Mason. I sat there in Logan's office while he put the phone on speaker. My hands were shaking, but I tried to keep my face calm. This was it, the moment of truth. Mason answered on the second ring. Logan, finally. I've been trying to reach you since yesterday. Are we all set for this morning's signing? I've got the board breathing down my neck about this contract. No, Logan said calmly. We're not all set. Long silence. What do you mean? Mason's voice changed, got that tight, controlled tone I knew too well. I mean, there will be no signing today, no contract. Logisteel Industries will not be working with Consolidated Manufacturing. Is this about money? Because we can negotiate the pricing. I'm authorized to offer an additional 5% if that's what it takes. This is about respect, Logan said, something you don't understand. Now wait a minute, I don't know what Bryce told you, but he told me you fired him yesterday, Logan interrupted. After he spent 5 weeks here building something good. After he worked harder than anyone I've seen in 30 years of business. After he gave up time with his son to serve your company. You threw him away like he means nothing. That's an internal personnel matter, Mason said, his voice getting defensive. It has nothing to do with our business arrangement. It has everything to do with it, Logan said firmly. Bryce was our arrangement. We negotiated with him. We trust him. We built this partnership with him. The contract specifically requires his approval for all modifications. Without him, there is no contract. You can't do this. We have a verbal agreement. We have emails. I'll get our lawyers involved if I have to. Read your contract language, Logan said. Section 12, subsection C. All approvals must come through Bryce Thompson personally. Since you fired Bryce Thompson, you no longer have access to this partnership. This is insane. I'll send someone else. We can renegotiate. We're done negotiating, Logan said. We're going to work with Apex Industries instead. They've been asking us for 2 years. We said no because we were loyal to Consolidated, but Consolidated wasn't loyal to the person who made this partnership possible. Wait, don't hang up. We can work something out. Maybe I was hasty about Bryce. We could bring him back, give him a promotion. Too late, Logan said, and hung up. I just stared at him. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. Did you really just... I started. Yes, Logan said calmly. I did. Now let's talk about your new job. Apex Industries wanted to meet me that afternoon. Logan arranged everything. They sent a car service to pick me up. An actual car service, not a taxi or rental car. I'd been pinching pennies for 5 weeks. The Apex headquarters was in the modern part of Monterey, all glass and steel and professional landscaping. I felt out of place walking in there wearing the same rotation of clothes I'd been cycling through, but the receptionist treated me like I was expected, like I mattered. The person who met me was Quinn Rodriguez, VP of Operations. She was maybe 45, with the kind of confident professionalism that comes from actually knowing your business inside and out. When she shook my hand, she looked me in the eye like she was evaluating me as an equal, not a subordinate. Logan speaks very highly of you, she said after we sat down in her office. He says you're the best relationship manager he's ever worked with. Tell me about yourself. I told her everything, the real version. About Hunter, about working at Consolidated for 25 years, about building supplier relationships, because I actually cared about the people behind the contracts. About being stranded yesterday, and yet being here today instead of on a plane home feeling sorry for myself. Interesting, Quinn said. And yet you're here today, not running home to lick your wounds. Why? Because Logan made me realize something, I said. I'm good at what I do, really good, and I'm tired of people who can't see that, or worse, people who see it but don't value it. Quinn smiled. Logan says you personally negotiated an $8 million partnership. Is that accurate? Yes. Built from scratch over 5 weeks. Can you do that again for us, but faster because you won't be starting from zero trust? Yes, I said, and for the first time in years, I felt completely confident saying it. Then, let's talk about what you need. Salary, travel arrangements, flexible schedule because you have a son finishing high school. All of it. What would make this work for you? No one had ever asked me that before. What I needed. What would make things work for me? I told her about needing to be home for Hunter's final wrestling season and graduation, about wanting compensation that reflected my 25 years of experience, about needing respect and autonomy to build relationships properly, about wanting to create something that would last. Done, Quinn said. All of it. When can you start? I need to get home first, I said. See my son, handle some personal business. Then I can come back and start fresh. We'll arrange your flight today. When you're ready to return, we'll cover everything, housing, transportation, whatever you need to succeed. The flight home was the best 6 hours I'd spent in months. I called Hunter from the airport and told him I was coming home, told him everything was going to be different now. Harper picked me up, took one look at my face and said, "Something big happened." I told her the whole story during the drive home. She kept glancing at me like she was checking to make sure I was real. "So they just," she said slowly, "threw away their best employee, and now you have a better job with their biggest competitor?" "I didn't plan it that way," I said, "but sometimes the universe has a sense of justice." Hunter was waiting on the front porch when we pulled into the driveway. He gave me the kind of hug that reminded me why everything I'd been through was worth it. "Dad," he said, "you look different. Happier." "I am happier," I said, "and I'm never going to miss another important event in your life. That's a promise I'm going to keep." 6 months later, I was Apex's VP of International Procurement, making more money than I'd ever imagined. Hunter got into his first-choice college on a partial wrestling scholarship, with the rest covered by my new salary and benefits. Logan and Casey became like family to us. Hunter calls them Grandpa Logan and Grandma Casey. Meanwhile, Consolidated Manufacturing collapsed exactly as Logan had predicted. Without Logisteel's reliable supply chain, they couldn't fulfill their automotive contracts. Quality problems led to returns, penalties, and canceled orders. Mason tried everything, begging Logan to reconsider, offering more money, even flying down to Mexico personally. Logan told him the same thing every time. "You had the best procurement manager in the industry. You called him an old-timer and threw him away. Why would I trust your judgment about anything?" 8 months after that text message, Consolidated filed for bankruptcy. Mason lost his job when the automotive division was sold off in pieces. Last I heard, he was working for a small parts supplier in Ohio, making a fraction of his old salary, his fancy MBA worthless without the uncle's connections to protect him. I don't celebrate other people's failures, but I do appreciate when consequences match choices. At Hunter's high school graduation, Logan flew up to attend the ceremony. During his speech, Hunter thanked his mom for teaching him about love and his dad for teaching him about integrity. My father showed me that sometimes the most important thing you can do is walk away from people who don't value what you bring to the table. So that's my story. That's what happened when my boss called me an old-timer and left me stranded in Mexico. I didn't destroy him. I just stopped saving him from his own poor judgment. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about what you do to someone else. It's about what you finally do for yourself. When you know your worth and demand that others recognize it too, the world has a way of rearranging itself in your favor.